Hey everyone, it is Natalie from Being Intentionally Creative. Today we are going to make this pear using a mold from Let's Resin. I got this quite a while ago, and I have not yet made it. I thought, well, let's sort of try and bring on spring and summer, warmer weather, and see what we can do. What I wanted to do before we even get into doing anything, I'll show you everything I'm going to be using. But one of the things I wanted to do, for whatever reason, I have it's stuck in my head to try and make things as close to the color of what the object would represent. So for example, if I'm doing an apple, I want to, find shades of red, maybe with a bit of yellow in them, depending on what the apple is. And because this is a pear, I'm wanting to sort of recreate what, to me, a pear looks like in my mind. Anyway, I don't know if any of you have done this, but what I did was I took this mold, which is just a flat mold that I got at a garage sale, and I took some UV resin, and then I took some colorants that I have. So the reason I'm showing you these two is because these are the ones I ultimately have decided I'm going to use to color this pear. But I took UV resin. I have so much UV resin and felt like I really needed to use it up. What I did was I took the UV resin and then mixed a little bit of the colorant in and came up with these small little, let's just put them up here, samples, if you will. Now, these are the three. Get them into the camera spot, Natalie. These are the three I sort of decided I was going to work with. And now when I say three, it's because this piece in the middle is a combination of the two colors. I decided to mix them together, and then this is the green, the grass green, and this is the lime. All right? And I wanted to see what they would look like together, and that's the combination of the two of them. And I think what I'm going to do is, because in my mind, pears to me aren't this bright of a green, nor are they this color. And I thought, well, maybe what I would do is I would layer it, the resin, between the two colors, and see if I can't sort of get a blending of, to me, pears are a lighter color. They're not a dark green, and they're not really a yellow, but I'm hoping I can get something. And if I don't, then let's just hope the piece turns out nicely and we have something unique. These are the other colors I was playing with, and I've put the colors away, so I can't tell you what they are anymore. But again, I was playing, and these colors really didn't work for me. Like, I thought, no, these aren't colors I wanted. Now, this one might be somewhat close, but see, I think that's something that I need to be more aware of, is don't get stuck on trying to get the color perfect. And that's a stretch for me sometimes, because I think, oh, it's got to be the color it's supposed to be. And I don't think that's a really fair, because then it blocks my creativity and I can't expand it the way I might be able to if I just had fun with it. And I need to work on that. Anyway, I'm showing you this because I thought, well, this might be a neat, trick for other people who are wanting to see what colors do I want to use in order to, get the sort of shading or the coloring that I want. And this is an easy way of doing it. Now, what I could do is write on the back of these so I know what they look like and keep them so I have them for reference. I pulled out, I might have had 10 colors out. I was going to try some alcohol inks, but I know that UV resin doesn't like alcohol inks, so I wasn't able to do them. Anyway, just a tip for you in case you're, wanting to see what kind of colors you're actually going to end up with, because what you look at when you look through these bottles, I mean, this one isn't actually clear. You don't get a real sense of what the color is going to be until you put it into your resin. And I'm thinking, well, we could skirt that issue by just doing, these little sample pieces. It's like a cloth swatch. Being able to, get those swatches, bring them home, and because you're thinking of, putting new coverings on your furniture and whatnot, then you get a sense of it. And I thought this was a good idea, so I wanted to share that with you. Anyway, so we'll be using those two colors, and I am going to layer them because I kind of want to get that a bit of a swirl effect in my piece once it's done. Now, the other thing I want to do is I have a couple of these foils in green. I want to use this in it as well. I also have pulled out this Atlantis WeR Memory Keepers glitter. I want to use some of this. I'm not wanting a lot. Now you'll notice I have the glitter in here in some of these pieces, and then I realized, well, you'd be better off not putting the glitter in. So that's why we have some pieces that don't have glitter in them. And interestingly enough, with the glitter, when I put it in, it doesn't look like that. Sort of has I'll call it a sort of greeny color, and I went with this because it was a softer color than the green glitter I have. When you see it in here, it almost looks like it's silver. And it's possible too, it's because it's all sort of concentrated in one area. Obviously I didn't put any glue in it, and I don't even know what the glue would look like or would do to UV resin, to be totally honest with you. I don't know. I've never tried that. Anyway, I will be using this and just a drop. I know I did one video where I got way too much in it, so I'm only really going to put a drop of this in because it's all I want. I did see a video this week that actually talked about not putting glue in because there was a concern with the water content that's in the glue. I can fully appreciate that. However, the way she did it, which was basically this individual, they just let the resin sit up until it started feeling like it was getting warm. So she had mixed her glitter into it, let it sit, and then as she, checked the temperature of it and felt it getting warm, then she poured it. And the pieces that she did, the glue had the glitter had stayed throughout the piece she did. It hadn't all sunk to one spot. For ease of this project, I am just going to use a drop of the glue. I think we'll be okay with that. I did understand sort of her thought process in the water content. So just putting that out there, maybe at some point I'll do a video where we just let it sit. And I want to make sure it's a piece that's doesn't have too many grooves in it and whatnot, because I don't like dealing with that as resin starts to set up. Anyway, that's what we're going to be doing. These are sort of the things we're going to be throwing into it. We have our mold. Because it's Let's Resin, it is very fortunate. Again, they are one of the few companies that actually puts on how much we need. So this lid is 3 fluid ounces and this is 11. I changed that up to mils because that's what I work in. So I'm going to get myself I am going to get myself all organized, everything mixed up, and then we will come back and we will pour our pear. The other thing I'm not doing with this video is I'm not going to put it on the heat mat because I don't want, if I can get a nice sort of swirl, if you will, or if I can get the coloring right, I don't want to mess with that. And I know when I was using the deep pour, it took away from the 2 colors I'd put in my mold, and I don't want to lose that with the pear, so we're just going to let it sit for the 24 hours. Let me get everything mixed up and then we'll be back. All right, we have our resin ready to pour. Now, interesting little fact, I probably don't have enough resin. I used up basically the last of the Craftor resin I have, and it's may or may not be enough to actually fill these 2 pieces. So we're going to start with the pear body first. The other thing is I was going to pour these, like do a bit of a back and forth so we could get a swirl effect. We're going to do that, but we're going to keep it in these containers instead of pouring it into another one. So those are sort of the 2 updates. If we're very, very fortunate, we will have enough resin to do these. I've ordered more resin. I'm ordering from a Canadian company, Magic Resin. That will be my replacement resin. So let's start pouring this. It is getting warm. I did not put any glue in the resin. And part of the reason is that this is warming up. I want to see that with it warming up, if we can manage not to have the glitter sink. And I didn't make these really dark from a color perspective, so here's hoping that by the time we get done, this isn't too clear and that you can see some of the color in it. It looks very not. Don't you love that? The terminology. Not very dark for sure, but here's hoping it still looks really good anyway. And I know you can't see much of what I'm doing. Let's see if I can twist things a little bit this way so you can... I'm trying not to waste any of the resin, so I'm trying to keep it over top of the mold itself. And if we're really lucky, this doesn't flash cure. And I put in, not a lot, but some foil. Very focused on what I'm doing right now. Yeah, I wasn't 100% sure if I was going to have enough resin. So, well, like I said, I figured if I got this done first, I can always, when I get my other resin, which is supposed to be here tomorrow, which is earlier in the week than what you're seeing this video, and I can always finish the lid up and you can see that later. Don't you love how I do that? It's like, oh, I'll show you this later. Once I've got, you know, X, Y, and Z done, then you'll get to see the finished product. Oh, you gotta love that. Gives you something to look forward to, right? We'll just go with that thought. And hopefully hopefully it's balancing itself out too with that foil and not, you know, going to one side versus the other. And if I feel like I really am not going to have even a remote enough amount for that lid, I'm not going to do it. We'll just do the body. I mean, I'm getting close to the top, but I'll have to see how much I've got left. I'm just going to drip that there, that there. Let's just, now I'm not quite to the top. I just want to let it sit for just a moment. So I have 30 in that and about 30, 60. Yeah, I'm not. So in mils, that'll take about 90 mils. And I want to put a little bit more in here. So I'm just going to find something else to put this resin in, and I will wait to finish up the lid. Now there's the possibility that with doing that, we're not going to have the same coloring. So I have a couple of options here. What I could do is put mica powder on it and then use one of these colors to, you know, color clear resin and then put it inside of it. So that's an option. We can make the lid totally different. Okay, I think that's going to do it. I feel like I'm really close to top of the bottom. Just want to get my other glasses on so I can see better. Yeah, I actually might have a little too much in that. Let's take a little bit of that out. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. And it really looks like my glitter may hold true, that it doesn't sink right to the bottom. I mean, we'll find that out obviously once we take it out of the mold. I'm just cleaning off my spatula just so I don't have resin caked on that. Yeah, so we're really yeah, I think we're good. And I can see, you may not be able to see, but I can, at least in the top part here, I can see my glitter just sort of suspended in there. So that's a brilliant thing. Hopefully we've got enough of the foil that it doesn't look odd. I guess we're going to find that out too, aren't we, when we take this out of the mold. Okay, so I will come back once we're ready to take this out of the mold, because as I say, I'm not going to have the resin in time, or I may surprise you and just, you know, not end this video when I think I'm going to end them. Oops, well, that's broken and no good anymore. Anyway, I will make that decision. I'm having issues with my glasses. Anyways, I'll make that decision. We'll let this sit and set up on its own. As I say, I don't have enough for this lid. I could pour some of that into the bottom, but I kind of like my idea of making this solid by putting mica powder in it. So I think I might do that. That way it doesn't matter if it doesn't match, because it's an intentional, we're not going to match. Anyway, we will come back to this. I'll maybe, I don't know if I need to spritz that enough. I think I won't spritz it because I don't want to have an issue that way. So we'll just go over top of this. All right, I'll get it covered up, and then I will be back when it's time to take this piece out of the mold. I'll see you then. All right, we are back. You'll see I have a lot of stuff on my platform here. I thought I'd show you some of the other things I had made with the leftover resin I had from my pear. So I have this little mold here, so I filled some of those up. Not sure what I'm going to use them for, whether I'll just put them in another piece, but I made those. I made a pair of holographic heart earrings. I made them each color different. This is the darker green, this is the lighter green. I thought I can do that, and I want to maybe see about, I'm not sure how well it would work, but some of the nail foils I've got, I'm just wondering about maybe being able to put them on the back and whether or not you'll be able to see them through. So that's something I'm going to play with. I also made, obviously, another one of my small little, I don't know, trinket bowls, dishes, whatever. Let's take this out and see how it looks. We'll take this out. The others we don't really need to take out. Right, that came out cute. Okay, so this is going to help to see as I get that off my hand. Okay, so as we can see in this piece, the glitter, I want to move that out of the way, and I'm trying to think of what I've got that would be dark enough too. Hopefully, does that help you with seeing the glitter in it? And then maybe I need to move it a little bit. But the glitter is suspended in that. Now, as I mentioned, my resin was starting to get warm when I was doing the pouring of this. As I said, I did not put any glue in it. So hopefully you can see, you'll be able to see it better with the pear. But you can see the glitter spread out there. It's not all at the top here, which is what normally happens. We've got some of the flakes. I think what I should have done is I probably should have put more of the foil in, because I really don't have a lot in this piece at all. Hopefully we look a little bit better in our pear. Before I do that, I decided, because I knew I wasn't going to have my new resin in time to do the lid. I actually made this lid and I used my polyurethane to do it. I have a couple of pointers for you when it comes to using this much polyurethane. I had a piece, and I'm pretty confident I had shown it way back in the beginning when I was doing one of my first videos. This piece was actually made with polyurethane, but what I want you to take note of is the fact that it wasn't meant to be like this. This is the bottom, and what happened was, because I mixed up so much polyurethane, it actually started to harden as I was pouring it out. This actually to me looks like a cupcake, so I'm okay with it, and I've kept it because it looks so cool. But it was actually meant to be a container for a plant or whatever you wanted to put in it. And I did the same with this. The lid took approximately 90 ml of polyurethane. I had just a little bit left over. If you're going to do this, please know that the more polyurethane you use, the quicker the setup time is. And that's why the first piece I showed you did what it did, was because it cured that quickly. I love how it turned. I do love how that turned out, but that's not the point. If you're going to do this, please be aware that I have found in my experience that the more polyurethane I use in a piece, the quicker it starts to cure up. This cured up extremely quickly. It was pretty much, I had it poured and then it started to cure. I want you to be aware of that. The other thing I didn't do, and it wasn't until I was looking, was I completely forgot about the lip in this, right? Like, we've got this lip. I have some cleaning to do of this, but we have the lip. And I had it already poured up to the top when I went, oh, right, lip. So I'm not bothered with this piece being it, but you can see that I've got some pretty big air bubbles here. Not too bad there, but I have air bubbles around, and I did try and get rid of one, and I went, just give this up. We have to pay attention to the air bubbles. I did use mica powder on the inside before I poured my polyurethane. Now, what I got thinking about after I had done that is the fact that this is a solid piece. And maybe, for myself anyways, I'm thinking moving forward, instead of just using straight resin to do this, would be to put something on the inside so that we're not using up so much resin. And I know I've probably talked your ear off about using beads and things. I'm almost wondering, though, if that's not a good alternative to using so much resin. Now, again, it's a personal preference. You do you. But for me, I got thinking about, do I really want to be using 90 mils of resin for this piece that's solid? Or I got these rocks from Michael's a good year ago, if not longer than that. And it's got some really pretty pieces in it. And I mean, I've got 2 packs over there and I still haven't used them. These, yes, would cause this piece to be, like, this is fairly heavy because it's solid. This would also cause this to be really heavy. But again, we would be using less resin if we did it. And that's something I want to look into, because if I can save on the amount of resin I'm using in a piece, and in addition, making my lid look unique and not sort of be exactly like the bottom, I think that's kind of a cool idea. I've also got a ton of beads over there. You've heard me talk about them before. I'm going to look at, when I do this lid again, I'm going to clean up my mold because it really does need to be cleaned up. I'm going to look at using these rocks maybe to get the stem. I might see what I've got over there for a colored bead that I could get down, because it's not very thick, so I'd have to use very small beads in there. I'm looking at that as an option instead of just having this be a solid mass of resin. It was more important to me that you understand about the polyurethane, so be aware of that. If you're going to do big pieces, it's going to cure up really fast, so be prepared for that. It might be better just to do it in layers if that works for you. Right. Now, the other thing that I wanted to point out too, because of, like, this lid makes a lot of sense for me anyways, to see about filling it with something in order not to use so much resin. We have lids like this that may not really work as well. If I were to do this with something other than resin, I mean, I'm going to be limited to the size of whatever I can put into it. Again, it's a lid. If you want, like this one's lightweight. This doesn't have a lot of resin to it. I thought I'm going to point this out to them that maybe if you didn't want to use so much resin in a solid piece like this, you could put something else in. And what's interesting too, as I'm looking at this, like there is a shape on it, but unless you get it in the right light, you don't necessarily see that through the resin. I don't know if you'd necessarily see it if I filled it with, I won't say stones, but if I put beads in here, you may not see that dimension either. And, you know, maybe that's something I might at some point even take one of my chrome markers and define where all the lines are. But it was something to think about. And it got me thinking as soon as I was holding this going, wow, I don't know. I wanted this made because I wanted you to be able to see it on the piece. That's why I took the polyurethane and made it. All right, let's get this out. Hopefully this isn't too big of a deal to get out. So he's getting it going right, breaking that seal. And this cured up rather quick. Yeah, it was a lot of resin. And in fact, it was already heating up when I was putting it in. So that's part of why this would have set up so quickly. I think if I had, gotten things made in a timely manner and poured sooner, it wouldn't have cured as fast as it did. But I'm hoping that we did a good job and that it's not, there's not an issue with it. And hopefully not, oodles of air bubbles in there, right? Now, yeah, obviously you're not seeing what I'm doing because it's one of those, it's this first time it's being used, so it's on there well. Okay, what is it? There we go. Okay, it's just getting it going right. Like that seal. Alrighty. That's a big pear, right? Always like to get my molds back to the shape they were. All right, so there, and that glitter has definitely stayed where it needs to be. Let me move my light. I don't know if I can. I want to sort of get things so you're not bouncing off of it, but there, bring it up closer for you. There we go. But the glitter has definitely stayed where it was. I can see a little bit of shading, like the different shades in it. I'm not sure if you can pick that out or not. It would have been nice if these flakes had been a little bit smaller, but that's okay too. Again, it helps you to know. I needed to crush them up a little bit more, which would have been my preference. Again, you have to do what works best for you. But yeah, that glitter is definitely throughout the piece. There's no doubt about that. It's not in just one set spot. So that's really cool. It's nice that I didn't have to put any glue in it. It's just straight resin, and that my glitter has, in fact, it is just staying where it's meant to. Is it the color of pear? Well, no, not really, but that's okay. So here's with the lid on it. Okay, the lid should fit on that. There we go. Okay, so there is sort of a set way to put this on. I'm realizing that because watch. Hopefully you can see. Here. Yeah. See, I can't spin it anymore. So there is a set way to put this in. I was kind of worried when I was putting it in. I'm going, why are you not fitting? But yeah, there is a set spot for that lid to go. But there is your pear. I'm going to work on making, as I say, another lid to go with this. I'm okay with the lid looking like that, and I used eye candy. I used 3 different eye candy colors for that lid and just randomly placed it around. And I'll show you those colors once I get these sealed up. And I put no glitter, and I don't know if well, it didn't really make sense to put glitter in, but I used the Imperial Jade, Emerald Green, and this other green. I've learned not to try and say a name I don't know how to say, because I don't want to just totally mess it up. Anyway, that is our pear with its polyurethane lid for now. But yeah, I'm really pleased that the glitter has definitely stayed where it needs to be. And I'll look up and put in the video in the description about the individual I had seen who did that, so that you can go and have a look at her video. And if you want to, but yeah, I was pleased to see it. And again, it could be 2 part in parcel because of the actual glitter itself. This may float within the resin better than maybe some of my heavier glitters would. But there you go. There is our pear and our little side dish, which that mold has gotten a lot of use for sure. And our lid. Anyway, once I have a new lid made, I will post it on my Being Intentionally Create Facebook page, so you can have a look at that. And I guess the only other thing we need to sort of think about, I can feel a little bit of bubbling. Well, when I say bubbles, air bubbles around the side, but I think all in all, even though it was, setting up, we did really well on this. So that's pretty cool. And actually, I have a new idea for pieces like this that I thought of, but we'll have to, I think I'm probably going to do a trial run on my idea before I actually show you what I'm going to be doing. Anyway, thank you for watching, liking, subscribing, and commenting. I hope you found this useful. I hope the tips regarding the polyurethane are useful to you, and the potential of not just using resin for pieces that are solid like this. Instead, putting something in it, either to make it lighter, to give it more dimension, or just to use less resin at the end of the day. I hope you have a creative day, whatever you get up to. Take care, and bye for now.